And I will... Oh, no, wait. I need to edit this. Wait, stop. Do something different. I usually remember all of them, but this time I forgot to change the title.
What's funny is I still get the notifications on both of the phones.
Ah, interesting.
And only thing the 6 does is say, you can't do this because even though we can sense there's LTE, it's disabled now.
Yeah, yeah.
But I use it to like listen to a podcast back and forth because I hadn't bought that little connector adapter kit, and there's no way I'm buying $150 earbuds because I will lose the crap out of those.
I damn near bought earbuds. I was sitting there, I was looking at them, I was like, man, I think I might use them. I don't know though. I'm not sure. I'll figure it out. I don't know. I'll call you back. But like, you can buy Bluetooth freaking headphones for $20. And what's the damn $299 whatever it was earbuds gonna do that those can't, that I gotta buy like 10 pair of them before I'd see my money back.
Right. And are they that much better? I mean, I've been buying the $20 gas station, plugins for years. If I stumble across like at a hotel or something where somebody left their real iPhone ones, I'll jank that shit, but I'm not gonna go buy that thing every time.
Yeah, I'm joking with Roger there on the chat wall. He said April 26th I get 2 megabytes per second Wi-Fi when my Gates Vax is finished.
That's funny.
Serena's been joking. She's like, "Yep, I got my chip implanted." That's what I responded. I got my chip implanted. And 2 weeks later, they're going to activate it. So that's why the second one makes you feel worse, because that's when they activate the Wi-Fi, and your body's got to get used to it. First one ain't no thing, right?
So, yeah, it's like they release the viral hormones.
Right. That's so where it messes with your brain because it tells you what to do. And I don't know why they always choose Bill Gates as a scapegoat for this. Like, there's way more evil people nowadays. Maybe he was like the classic evil person in the late 90s, early 2000s, but that time is kind of past. He's just like saving Africa from disease nowadays. Like maybe if you'd said Bezos or I don't know, who's heading up Apple now or whatever, Tim Cook.
I don't even know who the appropriate analogy would be.
But it's like Bill Gates. Bill Gates just, he chills out and, like I said, saves the world from disease. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
I never even thought of him as being evil. I mean, he's the one that revolutionized the computer industry for everybody.
I think it was that whole, like, shipping Windows with Internet Explorer, and you can't delete it, and you can't turn it off, and you can't use nothing, blah, 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 blah. That was a thing for a while.
Okay. All right. So, well, that was definitely like mid-90s, because, hell, by the time we got to tech, they'd already hacked Netscape into those things.
Yeah. And, what was I going to say? Whatever. Anyway. Now I will use my old phone as a laptop prop so that it gets enough air underneath it. Funny how those things work. Well, should we do a podcast?
Yep.
Sweet. I'm going to start recording. And then I'm going to do the read. And then we're going to have fun and podcast. Okay, here goes nothing. Recording now. Welcome, y'all! That's right. This is the Pregame Engineer Tailgate Mayor Racing Podcast, episode number 283. Today is Tuesday, March 30th, 2021. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace in the PTM Podcast Studio in Atlanta, Georgia. This podcast is sponsored by you. That's right. You go to patreon.com/PTM. Join the What You Drink Club for as little as $1 a month. Get that free koozie and some stickers. The best part is every cent this year, we're once again donating to sponsoring drivers. So join the PTM posse today. Be a part of the sport you love. This week's show brought to you by our official sponsors at that $5 and up per month level. They are Aaron Bearden, Robert Keplinger, Coleman McClam, Eric Kepner, Ryan Kiefer, Patrick Clear, Jeff Brown, Brandon Crock, Anthony McDonald, Brandon Carl, Rico Porter, Julie Bowser, Eric Griffith, Third, Young Motorsports, Dave Mons, Patrick Johnson, Brett Morris, Chris Smoke, Fred Rosado, Chad Napa, Stacey Coleman, Lisa Donata, Rick Houston, Sarah and Barry Evan, Roland, Matthew Bishop, Harry Bolzania, AJ Evangelista, Janet Scott, Les Miller, and Jumpy Bob. Woo! Tried to go for the world record pace there, but we'll have to time it. We'll have to slow it down, do the retiming, see if that worked out. From the PTM North Carolina studio, welcome onto the show, pregame engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's up, everybody? So, are you the guest today or me?
Yeah, who's the guest? It's just us, y'all. It's one of those things, We just decided to run solo. We got so much to talk about after Bristol Dirt weekend and into the week itself. So I'm excited to get talking about that. Before we do, Sherwin, you know what the deal is. What you drinking?
Well, it is Taco Tuesday, and I did have a Southwestern bowl for dinner.
My man. Well done.
So Dos Equis it is.
Dos Equis Amber. I don't know the last time I've had a Dos Equis lager. Like, every time that they say, we got lager, we got amber. Oh, the amber. Of course. Duh. I don't even remember what the lager tastes like.
It's delicious, but it's not as good as the amber.
Right. So, yeah, interesting. I've got the classics. There's the old Beam & Coke and Mr. Miller Lite on deck.
Oh, yeah, well,
Yeah. What's in that little glass?
You know what it is. It rhymes with Irefall.
It looks so sophisticated in that glass. It looks almost a different color.
Well, it's a Tullamore Dew glass.
There you go.
A little residual hangover from St. Patty's Day.
Right. Well, let's get right into the show as we're sitting here drinking. We've got a funny story. I'll call it funny or whatever. We're going to spend a few minutes on this just because we're old and we don't give a crap. And we don't have a guest tonight, so we might as well. But the other day, let me back this up. Two people have been bothering me about my phone. Y'all, I have an old-ass phone. I'll tell you in a minute. But my wife keeps bothering me because she'll be like, let me see your phone right quick. We'll be downstairs. Let me see your phone right quick. She'll open it up. She'll be like, this stupid phone, why don't you get a new phone? I'm like, it works fine. What are you talking about? Like, it runs internet, it checks email, it makes and receives cellular calls, and it texts with Sherwin. That's about all I do in a phone, And so fine, whatever. Well, I'm at work, right? And I work in the high-tech industry, and I work in healthcare, so we've got all this HIPAA stuff and blah, blah, blah. Well, it turns out when because I have multi-factor authentication on the phone and everything, well, it alerts our head of security. I'll call him head of security, but he actually reports to me. So it's kind of funny because every few weeks, he kind of goes, hey, man, I got that alert from our security system that somebody's logging in with an old-ass phone. I'm like, shut up. I'll fire your ass.
That's funny.
So finally, Saturday, it was a crummy day outside. I was like, all right, I'm going to go. All I did was I told the wife, I'm like, I'm going to go out running errands. I'll be back in a bit. And I ran down to the store. There's an Apple store in the mall nearby, which the mall is, I don't know what those people are thinking. There's way too many people at the mall right now. And they're not all getting iPhones. So I don't know what they're doing. But anyway, walked in the Apple store, got me a phone. And I told her, I said, what's the oldest phone that you've seen recently come in here? And she goes, in order to upgrade, she goes, I think I saw a 7 a couple months ago. And I went, all right, so what's a discount for the world record oldest phone that you've ever seen? And I look at her and I'm like, all right, she's probably 25, which means my phone came out when she was like 17. So,
oh, yeah.
I had an iPhone 5S is what has been my daily driver for the past 8 years. And so upgraded myself to the iPhone 12 mini. Now, this is where I'm gonna go on a rant here. You remember back in the college days, Sherwin, I had that big old phone with the chirp, and
oh yeah, distorted everybody's speakers and
yeah, it did all that mess.
I mean, I think we all are going to get brain cancer from that phone.
And this thing, y'all, it was like if you stacked 5 iPhones on top of each other. That maybe 8. It was
5 iPhones made out of tungsten.
Right. This thing, hey, I'll tell you this much: it was indestructible. But and it had the little pull-up antenna 'Cause why not? But and Sherwin would be sitting there trying to sleep. And my dad would be chirping me with a bloop. Hey Rick, you around? It was good. Anyway, so I had that phone forever, and then everybody got smaller phones, right? Tiny, little bitty phones, whatever. And so by the time I graduated college, I went and got me a little bitty phone. It was this white phone. It was about this big, and it flipped up, and it like I think it had the Snake game on it or something. That was it. Like it. I didn't even text on it because texting was stupid when you don't have a keyboard. So I just made calls and whatnot. And then everybody started getting bigger and bigger phones. Sure, when I walked into that store, there was a phone the size of a damn iPad. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, we call those phablets.
Phablets. I don't even know how you put that thing in your pocket, man. I don't know what these people are doing.
There was a Samsung that came out about, it wasn't 10 years ago. That would be me over-exaggerating. Let's call it 7 years ago. Mm. It was like the Note 4, and my hand wasn't big enough to hold it. It was, you know that mini iPad they had?
Yeah.
It was that big.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you doing with this phone?
What are you doing? Like, imagine somebody trying to like have an actual phone call. They got to use two hands to hold the thing up to their face.
Well, it's like that Windows, that thing they've been hawking on the NFL that like it comes with a separate keyboard that you like clip in and like Bluetooth to it. Like it was big enough for one of those.
Yeah. So anyway, I go in there and I pick up each of the iPhones and I'm like, no, I want the mini. Thank you very much. I'll take the small thing, small form factor. It looks like my 5S. It feels like it, but it's got a way bigger screen because the screen, wraps all the way around everywhere because they ain't got the button and whatnot. So I got me my iPhone 12 mini, and I'm, excited to use it. It's got like the face thing. The face thing's weird, y'all, where like by the time that I can pull the thing up to my face, it's already unlocked. And I'm like, well, that could be a problem. So we were talking about it before. Like we go to a racetrack, somebody passes out, and I just hold their phone up in front of their face and start texting their mom pictures of things. That could be a problem. So anyway, we'll figure all that out. But yeah, so I'm getting used to it and all that. I'm enjoying the phone and whatnot. You know what? It is way faster. I'll admit that. My security guy, I texted him before he knew before my wife knew that I got a new phone. Because I walking out of the Apple store, I texted him. I said, "Hey man, got a new phone. You can stop bugging me." He's like, "I'll take you off the list." So that was good. And then I got home and told my wife because I got chicken on the way home. I was like, she goes, "Okay, where you been for the last hour and a half?" I'm like, "I got chicken and an iPhone." She's like, "All right, I like the chicken. Good job on the phone, finally." So. Got all that. That was my story. And then I texted over to Sherwin. I got me a new phone. Sherwin, where'd you pick up the story?
I said, well, I guess you probably told me right up front what you had gotten.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of like, I guess asking if you liked it and how big it was. And he goes, well, it's about the same size as my 5S, but the screen's bigger and it's lighter. And, it doesn't have the home button anymore, but I like it. And I'm like, man, I've been due. So Sunday, I went to the store. I had a mildly different experience. The salesperson got to see the same me that the Charlotte airport got to see, which is the highly inquisitive, you're lying to me. Like he was trying to tell me stuff that was just blatant lies. I'm like, last time I was in one of these stores, it was the exact opposite thing. So you guys obviously just tell lies however you do it. And so we finally settled on the fact that I was going to get the phone. And then he goes, well, what color do you want? And I said, well, what do you have? And he's like, well, why don't you let me go check my inventory so I don't disappoint you?
Oh, dude, I got to pause you right quick because I did drop the Henry Ford line on the girl, but she was too young or whatever. I shouldn't say too young. I hate making fun of people for the age, but maybe she'd just not heard this before. But she said, what color do you want? And I said, oh, any old color. It don't matter, as long as it's black. And she was like, wait, what? So you want, do you want the black phone? I'm like, I'm joshing with you. Anyway, sorry.
Well, she needs to go watch Seabiscuit, and then she'll know. So he came back and he goes, I've got black and pink and mint green. And I was like, give me the mint green one. And he comes back, and we go over to the place where they got, because I wanted that snug fit case that I've had on my 6S forever. And I looked at the cases, and I'm like, okay, that's the same one I've had basically. Now, what's this one over here? And it's clear sparkle.
He's got the clear sparkle glitter mint green.
there's two strategies to this, right? Everybody knows is that I tend to share a little bit of personality in weird places, like my toenails and now my phone. But I don't know. I was like, yeah, but there's a secondary strategy to this, because people in public tend not to mess with girls' phones. I'm like, well, if I leave my phone on the counter at the bar, nobody's probably going to mess with it because they're going to think it's a girl's phone, and that's kind of like taboo.
Right. Yeah.
But no, I think it's cool. People are going to give me weird looks, but I don't give a damn. I like it. It's a good phone. It took me a while to get hooked back up into my stuff for work, but I got that all sorted out too. So
there you go. Love it. So here we are. We're iPhone brothers now. We
both had the same phone for the first time in 7 years?
Yeah. Well, now it's a race to see who upgrades, right? I'm going to get like the iPhone 18 or something whenever that comes out.
It's like, who can hold out till 2025?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what are they going to do between now and then? They're just going to force our hand.
Anyway, there's the phone story, y'all. Hope you enjoy it. Sherwin, you got the shirt on.
There's one more piece of this.
Oh, please. Sorry. Keep it.
So this morning, I've had this phone for not even 3 days. 2.5 days. And this morning, I threw it right in the sink, landed in a bowl of water. And I snatched it out, dried it off, and I go, tell me I'm not going back to the store to replace this phone. So I Google, is the i12 mini waterproof? And it's like, yes. As a matter of fact, it is. Up to 19.6 feet deep for 30 minutes. And I'm like, I think I'm in the good. Think I'm covered.
That's why I freak out when I've got it out in the rain. And it's I can just throw it in the pool for half an hour and go retrieve it later. That's funny.
It'll be fine.
That's funny. Well, Sherwin, you've got the shirt on. Braves starting Thursday. So we got we're at Philly. So see how it goes. But yeah, good times.
Yeah, 3:05, unfortunately, for those of us who have to work a regular shift. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. We got some.
I'll catch the end of it.
Baseball. Awesome. That all said, let's go ahead and do it. Let's tear it down. Let me see if I can find the thing. I got to go here. I got to click that, and then sometime later. Whoa! Okay. Found it. Let's talk about the weekend. First period. What do you think we're talking about? I mean, come on. Bristol Dirt. Joey Logano. Congrats on him. Sherwin, let's start with you. Just like the soapbox 1 minute speech. What'd you think?
So Friday, we got the all clear from my boss for everybody to jettison the facility at 3:00. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, sweet. I'm going to make it home before the practice even starts, much less finishes. And I get here and I'm like, I want to start removing some of the skepticism because I want to be optimistic and just take it in and see what I see. And I watched practice and I go, I was like, this is probably going to be pretty interesting. Interesting good. And then, of course, the weather.
Yeah. What'd you think of the race?
I thought both races were extremely interesting and didn't shock me one bit, the announcement that was made.
Yep.
That this is not going to be the last time we do this.
Yeah. I struggle with this. I enjoyed the racing. Here's the crazy part. I enjoyed the racing, and I did not enjoy the cautions. I did not enjoy the wreck and all that. At one point, I said out loud, I just said, well, this is just unnecessary. Not the caution itself, like throwing the yellow flag, that was necessary. But the amount of just total chaos, I was like, I like a little bit of chaos. I'm all right with a little bit of chaos, a little bit of, these cars are hard to handle and there's you run out of talent. But this is like you ran out of talent, track, car, everything,
Visibility was the main thing we ran out of.
Yeah, yeah. So
I would really applaud NASCAR for going ahead and just saying, all right, we're going to single file restarts.
Mm-hmm.
That's just it. It's happening. It's happening right now.
Yeah, yeah. I wrote it in the show sheet here that they had a lot of trouble keeping that surface wet enough as the race went on, which is, we're sounding like dirt track people now. Like you get an ounce of rain on a concrete track and it's throw the red flag, but now it's like had trouble keeping the surface wet.
Well, Clint said something very interesting during the broadcast. Being, he everything he did until he got to NASCAR was dirt.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, people are saying it's dusty and maybe we should have put a little bit more water down. He said, you got to be real careful with that. He said, because just a little bit too much water creates even more problems.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's interesting, because we saw what happened when they tried to fire up the trucks for the heat races. Everybody was covered with mud. They're like, yeah, okay, maybe we weren't ready to do this yet.
Yeah, yeah. No, that was I guess there's, to your point, there's this like small window, this small band of this is the right amount of water versus too dry and too wet and all that. I mean, that's something they got to figure out. And on the positive side, Steve O'Donnell came out and he said, we learned a lot from this race, which to me really felt mature in terms of what NASCAR is saying about it. He didn't come out and say, like, this is the best race in the history of NASCAR. I can't believe it. Cross-eyed, just, oh my God, woo! Like, he's like, we learned a lot. We think we put on a pretty entertaining show, and yeah, we'll figure out some more for next year. So, it was like, okay, well, that's a good response to it in my book. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's only one way to learn to do this. You have to have all 40 trucks or cars, whatever, out there at the same time and see what happens. Mm-hmm. Unless they were willing to figure out how to pay for all the teams to show up at the same time for a practice. The only way to do, I mean, that's what the heat races were supposed to be. That's why we had practice. You want all of them out there at the same time and go, I wonder what happens when we do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I think the end result probably way more positive than negative. Certainly indicated in Jeff Gluck's poll.
Yeah, yeah. Interestingly, or I shouldn't say interestingly, I will say I'm a little bit bummed that it got rained out. Or whatever, weathered out on Sunday, because I mean the hype that went around that and everything. Y'all, I worked from home yesterday. Now I did take the truck in for an oil change; it needed it, but that was kind of secondary to, hey, the race starts at 4. Maybe I can just kind of have that on in the background or whatever. But I was starting to watch that, and that's when I think I was done with work probably around lap 50, but and I think that's when one of the big cautions happened, and that's when I was like, this is just unnecessary. What are we doing, guys? But that all said, excuse me, what was I going to say? I said bummer on it being postponed. How about the cars being so tore up at the end? It felt like old Bristol. You know what I mean? Like pre-2007 Bristol, where the top 5 looks like they've been through a tornado.
Yeah, they were trashed. I mean, even Blaney. What did he ended up getting a top 6 or 7 or something, and half his car was missing.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole, I mean, from the number all the way to the tail on the left side, it was like somebody took a sawzall to it, just cut it off.
Yeah. So I gotta like that. I gotta like the fact bumping and banging it, and you've got to be aggressive to win this race. Or to place or whatever, and so I like that aspect of it. There's a lot to like here, and I hope they figure it out for next year. I'll say this: I was watching on Fox, and they gave some like stats, and one of them was like there was dirt sourced from 20 different sites, and then there was some other stat, and then the last stat said the bulldozers had GPS in them. And the dirt was laid within an accuracy of 5/100ths of an inch. And I was like, well, they just, like, tore up a piece that was 2 inches long. I don't know how you can get within 5/100ths of an inch on the track. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's when they originally put it down.
Yeah.
But, yeah, grading equipment has come a tremendously long ways, thanks to some really creative civil engineers over there. But the thing that was the most interesting to me is one of the real thick layers of like the 6 or 7 layers that they had was all the dirt that they put down in 2001. They just put it in a shed somewhere
Yeah.
and dug it back out.
Right. Yeah, that was. I heard that too, and I was like, "Huh? How about that? That's different. Good for you." This one was divisive. I saw Kelly Crandall said this is a winner with a few caveats. Road and Track magazine said an absolute mess, and then Charlotte Observer kind of took the middle road and said absurd but ingenious. So I liked seeing kind of those headline type of things, and that's where I kind of came up with like the unnecessary but entertaining. How about that?
Yeah, I think that's probably a fairly common. I guess that's probably where I was at before we saw it. Was I'm like, Bristol, but Bristol's such a cool place anyway. like, but I mean, I don't know. I listened to a little bit of Dale Jr.'s podcast with Marcus Smith before this started, and he was like, I guarantee you, he said, before you know it, you're going to stop wanting to put all that dirt back down in the spring. You're going to tear that damn concrete out of here, and that's going to be 2 dirt races a year.
I feel like I can get more on board with it. I want to talk about this before we do talk about that. How about the John Hunter Nemechek thing? That was one of the that was the part where I just exactly what you're doing, like just sort of put my hand on my forehead and shook my head and was like, all right, this does not bode well for the rest of the weekend. If y'all didn't hear, so he was involved in a wreck, and then he sat there for the next lap, and because of the dust and visibility and all that, somebody just rammed right into him, and then he got out of the car, and the truck that came to rescue him, it got loose, a la Juan Pablo Montoya at Daytona. It got loose, and it crammed right into his car. Like, he was involved in 3 wrecks within 5 minutes.
Yeah, that was not John Hunter's day, for sure. It was very Mario Kart-esque.
Yeah. So, anyway, Sherwin, you already said it. They confirmed it for next year. And Steve O'Donnell said, we've learned a lot. So, what did we learn? What should we change? Obviously, the car is a big issue. Folks are talking about now. I hadn't been following dirt track racing long enough to maybe if I think about it, I would have come up with it individually or independently. But it has independent rear suspension on the next gen car, which is apparently a total no-no in the dirt world, and that makes sense. We've got the tire issue. We've got the visibility issue. We've got the air issue where they're like peeling off things off the front of the grill. We've got the windshield issue where I can't see crap. Like, what do we got to change, and how much of it do we need to change for next year?
I think the 2 main things that need to change, at least from my perspective, and this is not necessarily an original thought. It's gathering from other perspectives and then offering my perspective in there with it, just kind of piling in, is this needs to be a night race, so you don't have to deal with the sun, even if you do create all that dust. And they probably need to use this year's car so that if they tear them up as much as they do, it doesn't set them behind for the other car.
Mm-hmm.
To your point, you got independent rears. And I don't, nobody wants to rebuild sheet metal, and typically they don't when they tear them up the way they tore them up at Bristol. They kind of just throw that stuff away or try to sell it for some nominal value as a souvenir. But I don't know what those panels are going to do when those guys crash that way. Are they going to just pop off? And then that's that? Or, like, I don't know how secure they're going to be. Maybe it's even better. They just kind of bump into each other and they flex in and flex back out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see it be a night race. I think the other piece to the puzzle is they're probably going to do their absolute level best to get away from the rain, which means this needs probably be the first weekend in May.
So maybe a schedule change to go along with it.
Yep.
How about I've heard some folks talk about it being like the All-Star race. What do you think about
that? That wouldn't be a bad way to do it. It sounded to me like Marcus is fairly committed to spreading the love on the All-Star race. After this year, we'll have been gone for Charlotte twice, so I would expect 2022 to be back at Charlotte just to sort of renew that culture of the All-Star weekend being in Charlotte where everybody's close and teams don't have to go very far. But then I don't know what you would do with it next. Maybe dirt at Bristol is it. One of the things that he has done, Marcus that is done to make it more valuable to spend the millions of dollars it took to put the dirt down, is this incredible 6-week card of dirt races
Mm-hmm.
with 3 different late model series, and then wait a couple weeks and then run, NASCAR touring series, and then wait 2 more weeks and the World of Outlaws are going to be there. Like, he's created value to sort of cover the cost of doing it. Um, I don't know if I don't know what you do with the All Star race. They'll have all the way till September to get the dirt back off the track. He said it takes about 6 weeks to clean it up.
I I applaud them on even thinking about doing it. That's one of them things. Like, imagine redoing your yard and then being like, all right, I'm going to redo it again every 6 months now, essentially. And it can't be easy, especially around this time of year when, any time in March in, Bristol, Tennessee / Virginia, you might get a snow. And they did when they were doing all this stuff. Like, you're under a lot of weather pressure at this time of year. So sure, when your point to move it to something like May might be a lot more helpful for them.
Yeah, I think we're going to see something along those lines. Now, the thing that concerns me and is that so that means somebody has to move up, and where is the weather good to do that this time of year? And it's like, well, I heard Sonoma get brought up. I'm like, well, guess what? This is actually the only part of the year it does rain in Sonoma. That's why the grass is green right now.
Mm.
So the only caveat to that would be, or the positive caveat would be, Sonoma, as long as it's not pouring ass rain, you can run on a wet surface with rain tires.
Well, can you run it? Can you run Bristol dirt on rain tire? Well, not rain tires, but in the rain, if it ain't thunderstorming and windy and all that.
No, because of how much mud would go everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, even when it was mostly dry by dirt track standards, they ran 3 laps or whatever and said, nope, can't do it.
I imagine fan safety has to come into that play too, because like if you kick up a big old sheet of mud and it's going 70 mph into the stand, somebody's going to get slapped. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, how many times have you had a big old clod of dirt at the dirt track just hit you right in the chest and go, damn.
Yeah. I didn't sign up for this. Who can I sue?
So, yeah, I guess, it's funny you mentioned that. That was one of the things that, not to just totally regurgitate the Dale Jr. download, but Marcus said the first time they ran dirt at Bristol, they had to clean out a lot of swimming pools because of how much dust and dirt ended up all over the place outside of Bristol. So that's why it took them 20 years to try to give it another go.
I wonder if you attend the fall race at Bristol, if you're going to keep finding dirt in places. Because, I can't imagine how much – yeah, you're nodding your head. I can't imagine how you can – it must take years for that to happen. And the fact that they're just going to fill it up again, it's just kind of like, hey, there's some dirt still over there in the stands, whatever. It's, give me 6 months, we're bringing, 10,000 tons of dirt back in here.
Well, you hope it rains a lot over the summer, and that helps you out a little bit.
Yeah. So, anyway, there's Bristol Dirt. And how about, we didn't really talk about the finishers. Logano up in first place. Not really expected as like a, we used to have our road course ringers. Now we have our dirt course ringers. And I wouldn't have put Logano up there.
Well, no, you wouldn't have put Joey up there because he basically grew up on karts and then on pavement late models, and then of course NASCAR. But Truex is basically the same. He grew up late model racing on asphalt, and he ran off with that trucks race.
Yeah.
So kudos to Freddie's Pizza and his autism awareness campaign. He got a nice little donation from us and Lap Traffic and Brent Dewar and Yonkers Motorsports. So between the 5 of us, that's $525 that we're contributing to that fund.
So I owe $125 or no, $100.
$105.
$105. All right. I can't do math tonight. Somebody, I think Brandon is on the chat wall there. So send me a Venmo, $105 coming your way for the for that deal.
There's a link if you'd rather do it that way, so you can put it on your Sky Miles.
Oh, hell yes.
Yeah, it's Freddie's got a website with a pay link in his fundraiser.
Send me that. Brandon, I know you're listening. Send me that. Keep me honest. I said I would, and I know Brent Dewar will do it. So.
Oh, he's already replied to the Twitter stuffs.
Oh, that's awesome. I need to go check my own Twitter because I usually pull up Twitter with the PTM. So
I tagged you in it, so you'll see it.
And that gets lost in all kinds of mess. So I'm in. Let me. Here.
Brandon's on here. Hey, fire the link up here in the YouTube too, Brandon.
Yeah. And I'm bringing up. What in the world? Device restored. Okay, whatever.
Got that a couple times when I'm trying to set up my friggin' Teams on my personal phone.
There we go.
Technology, y'all. It gets weirder every day. It's useful, but it gets weird.
Yeah. Well, all right. I'll figure this thing out. I'll leave it up on Twitter.
We'll do it in the after dark.
Yeah. That sounds like a good time. Well, let's see. Logano, Stenhouse, Hamlin, Suarez. I'm kind of bleeding into second period here. But Hamlin is now the only driver this year to have completed all laps. That only took 7 races. Kind of wild, huh?
Not only that, but he has 6 top 5s in 7 races.
That's ridiculous.
He's had a pretty good go of it so far.
That's why when you go to the standings, he's on top of the board there.
Yep.
So, I mean, with all the wins and stuff below that, but however it all shakes out. But I mean, this is going into a further, going even deeper. We got another winner. 7 tracks, 7 winners. So Hamlin could finish first in points and 17th in playoff standings.
Well, somebody would still have to beat him in points for him not, because the points winner after 26 races gets an auto bid.
There's a clause that we have not had to execute on that I had forgotten about.
Yeah, but it's still cool. Imagine if you were playing a 12 ring slot at a gaming room and you hit 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. You'd probably never gamble again. Even if you played a quarter.
All right.
If you parlayed that, you just raked.
Yeah. But yeah, that's surprising to me. And I mean, I guess it goes to show the disparity so far that we've seen this year, that there's only been one driver to complete all the laps, and he doesn't have a win. Like, geez.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah. And speaking of, how about SHR still kind of struggling? I think after 7 races, they have 6 top 5s is what I read. And like 5 of those are Kevin Harvick or something, some weird, don't quote me on that one, but it's really close to the truth.
Yeah, they are absolutely out to lunch. Harvick is the only one that's really on the map. Mm-hmm. In 8th place with 2 top 5s.
Oh, 2. Maybe it was top 10s.
Yeah, then you just got to scroll and scroll and scroll. Cole Custer's in 23rd. He doesn't have a top 10. It's just, they are definitely, they miss something that everybody else got. Mm-hmm. But, if you think about it, those other guys really weren't around much last year. I mean, we think SHR and Kevin Harvick because he won 10 times. But those other guys went. I mean, Cole Custer gets that weird restart at, what was that, Kentucky? And that's really was about it for them.
Yeah. Let's see. What do they got to do? Or what do you think they're... Is this a matter of like Gibbs a couple years ago or last year, whenever it was, that Gibbs was just, laying a brick? And or is there something fundamentally, going on here?
I don't know, because I certainly wouldn't accuse any of these big teams of just saying, well, we're going to run the same car we ran last year, so we'll just show up with the same stuff. They don't. That's not how it works. They
Mhm.
just they didn't find whatever else, you know, Penske, JGR, and Hendrick have found.
Yeah, yeah. What have they found? Do you think?
I don't know, but if you look at where the Hendrick cars are, they're fourth, sixth, ninth, and whatever they are. Where's Bowman? 16th. So they have all four cars in the top 16, which means when we stop today, they're all in the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah. So, no, interesting. Um, we'll see where they go. How about this one? I did put in the notes. Red Farmer, 88 years old. He's Hall of Fame inductee this year. He was one of the people, if not the only, I can't remember, but he survived the Davy Allison helicopter crash. He got COVID earlier this year, last year, whatever it was, and was in the hospital for like 5 days. And now a tornado went through his house. Is this dude invincible or what?
I believe he has given Keith Richards a run for his money
Without the drugs.
without the heroin.
So kudos to Red Farmer for hanging on through all that stuff. I saw the pictures and everything. I mean, he's still racing. He's got a car and he's got a trailer. The trailer got hit by a tree, and then the car got all smashed in from that. I mean, he's got a lot of work to do to figure it out. But you know, it's Red Farmer. I'll be honest, and no offense to Red, I thought he was long gone by now. So awesome.
Right?
So yeah, that's good.
Well, that's like Rex White, who lives in my hometown, gets his haircut where my dad gets his haircut. He's like 98.
Mm-hmm.
Won like the 66 Cup Championship and hung it up like a year later because he was already like in his 50s.
Was it me, you, and our buddy Clark who was playing golf with that old man? What was his name?
Oh, Les.
Les. Oh, Les. He was
Les was 1,000 years old.
He was 91 years old, smoking on a big old cigar, and it's the three of us. And usually, when you go play golf with three guys, right, you're pretty assured that it's just going to be y'all three. And this time they said, "Hey, we got a single hooking up with you," and we're like, "All right, whatever." And this old man, I mean, this guy was ancient, and he rolls up. We're like, "This is going to be fun. We're going to haze the F out of this guy." And our whole goal for 18 holes was do not kill Les. And he made that very difficult on us because he was hitting from the red tees, from the upper tees, I'll call them. And he didn't care. You know, he's like, I'm old. I'll hit from these tees or whatever. So he was in a separate cart. So we all drove up to whatever tees we were hitting from, whites, blues, greens, whatever it was. And he would drive up to the next, to his tee box, get out, and be waiting on us, and he'd turn around and look. We're like, dude, you don't know what kind of golfers we are. You're liable to die tonight. Like, this ain't. You need to go ahead and move around a little bit.
Well, and one that the time most specifically that I remember was he's down there in the middle of the fairway while we're teeing off. Got that big old stogie,
Mm-hmm.
a little hunched over. I mean, 91 years old, y'all. Small frame guy. And somebody hits one about 6 feet off the ground, just a lightning shot. And we're like, damn, that's going right at him.
Oh, man.
We might have broke our only rule today.
I believe that was probably 10 years ago, and I believe as well that Les is still alive, running around hitting a golf ball and cussing out his wife or whatever he was doing.
Well, you know what? There's a great anecdote here. That was at Bobby Jones Golf Course, and the Masters is next weekend.
There you go. Playing the Masters on the regular schedule, so that'll be fun to watch. Sherwin, I think we kind of half mentioned it last week, but NASCAR and 12 other sports leagues are teaming up with the White House, like the White House, to promote COVID vaccines. And I think we both got our first poke. And we were talking in the pre-show that, like, all right, well, you get your first poke, and then you got to wait 3 or 4 weeks, and then you get your second poke, and then you got to wait a couple weeks, and then, I mean, I'm not saying, I understand all the everything, blah, 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 but I'm going to go, I'm ready to go racing after that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Well, look at that. We have a special unannounced surprise guest with us. What's up, Brandon Crowd from Lap Traffic Podcast?
What's up?
Man, good to see you. How you doing?
Guys, I'm great. I am. I'm extending the curfew tonight. Getting ready for Michigan basketball to tip off here in about 5 minutes.
Oh my goodness! So, what do you think the chances are?
I mean, so here's my thing: is that Michigan's playing an 11 seed, UCLA. Last time Michigan played an 11 seed, it was Loyola Chicago, and they won and went to the Final Four. So put us in the Final Four.
Confidence.
Stamp the ticket, right? Well, we also made a very bold prediction when it came to Loyola Chicago, and totally, laid an egg. So,
that's because the news didn't come out till that Wednesday.
Well, I mean, that's all good, well and good. Again, they went ahead and beat Illinois, so I can't be too PO'd. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, the PO'd part comes in where you're like, well, if they could have beat them, we could have beat them.
There is that.
I got the hat, the hoodie, the same shorts from Sunday last Tuesday. I mean, I have got racer level superstition going on right now.
There you go. Brandon, let's rewind for a second. Tell us your perspective on that Bristol dirt race.
Oh my God, boys. I loved every single second of what we got on Monday. Sherwin was on the show last week, which was awesome. And we talked about how great we expected the truck race to be because we kind of knew a little bit of what we could maybe expect from seeing Eldora. And it was the cup race that was, what was up in the air for everybody. And it delivered. I was excited. We had actual racing. I mean, Daniel Suarez isn't running where Daniel Suarez runs on concrete. Ricky Stenhouse probably isn't up there. It leveled the playing field to a Daytona and Talladega aspect without having the big one in it. So I loved it. I was so happy and thrilled with it.
So it's interesting that you brought up Eldora. And what parallels can we draw and what can't we draw from, any lessons learned from, what we've been doing at Eldora for the past, 5-6 years, whatever it is.
So it's funny you say that, and shameless show plug, because I asked Grant Enfinger that same question on the show tonight because he ran Bristol Dirt and he's ran Eldora and he had a great finish this past Monday and he's run really well at Eldora. And his thing was that at Eldora, you are flat out running pedal to the floor the entire time. And at Bristol, that was not the case. They were not able to run full throttle. To him, that was the biggest difference, was not being able to run it wide open. And part of that had to do with that single lane groove, the banking, the fact that it was dirt on top of concrete. But he freaking loved it. He said, from a racer's perspective, what more could you want? We had such a good time out there on the track.
I think that, Kevin Harvick, I think it was Harvick, and Brandon, you would know because you follow Harvick a little bit, was the one who said, this is going to be the longest race in the history of dirt tracks. And I think that also plays a role in how the track matured or denatured or whatever you want to call it over the course of the race. And that's something, when we're thinking about next year and everything and how we move forward with this stuff. If you go run whatever it is, 250 laps around this thing, that course is going to change so much over the course of that race. And I don't feel like that was necessarily the case at Eldora too. So that's something that's like a new data point. It feels like.
Well, so here's what I would throw to that. And the thing that I would say is, if NASCAR had been able to run Saturday and Sunday, I think they would have manicured that track a lot more from Saturday night to Sunday afternoon than what they were able to from a 2-hour time difference from truck race ending to cup race starting. And I think that would have played a much more significant role if they would have been able to tailor that track a little bit. And we saw that, at least I saw that, my very first time at Eldora after they ran big block modified heat races and a big block modified race. That the truck race was delayed almost an hour and a half because Stewart wasn't happy with the condition of that track. And he was out there rototilling and watering it. They wanted to make sure it was conducive for the best racing product possible. So I really think if NASCAR had the opportunity to finesse that track a little bit better in between the two races, it could have been even better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that checks out.
Sherwin?
What's next?
Oh, I thought you were going to say something about it. What's next? Let's talk about Penske. Last week, Penske called the Indy NASCAR Street doubleheader interesting. And let's say that again. IndyCar NASCAR Street doubleheader. Like, keep talking dirty to me, Roger. I mean, come on. I was reading that, and he said interesting. How do we go from interesting to do it? Sherwin, what do you think?
So I think I'm starting to step into the world of don't anticipate, just participate, so that I don't just show up with skepticism. I still wonder how you're going to set barriers up and how you're going to set the course up so that if a 3,400-pound stock car hits one of those, portable barriers, that something really weird doesn't happen. And then how you're going to run Indy on the same course that you run NASCAR, because they have, obviously there's wildly different ways that those cars are going to run a street course. I don't think it's impossible. I would be shocked if NASCAR chose to do that in Indy, because they've been talking about doing it in Nashville for 3 or 4 years now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Brandon?
But if the fairgrounds comes into play, then maybe it does go over to Indy.
Maybe there's something. Brandon, what do you think?
Well, I mean, if Indy can run on a street course in Detroit, then NASCAR can run anywhere, because Detroit roads aren't for shit. So
I can buy into that. We already talked about it a little bit, Sherwin, but playoffs. Nothing that Rusty likes to talk about more way too early in the season than playoffs.
I'm with you.
And we have we said it before, 7 different winners. Everything is playing out to the PTM perfection in terms of what we like to see here with the number of winners. Denny Hamlin, we already talked about, no wins and still in first place. So he might have to. Who knows? He might have to hold on to that to make it happen, as we've learned. But Brandon, we've talked about it a little bit. How cool is it to you? And it better be very cool that we've had 7 winners so far.
I absolutely love it. And I love it even more that it's 7 winners that we, haven't necessarily anticipated. I talked about it on my show tonight that if you had said, hey, order the Penske drivers in terms of who's going to get their first wins and place a bet, I would have lost my ass, because I would have never picked Blaney, Logano, Keselowski. It probably would have been the exact opposite way I would have picked that. We got Ricky Stenhouse in the top 16. We got McDowell in the top 16. We got Dillon in the top 16. And we're still talking about guys that haven't got to win. Ryan Newman, Daniel Suarez weren't far from getting a win on Monday. We're still hoping Matt DiBenedetto can pull off a win. We're still talking about Tyler Reddick maybe getting a win. Can Chip Ganassi get Ross Chastain and that crew back up? And then we got Briscoe and Almirola and SHR sitting 27th and 28th, which is abysmal. I know we've talked about it at length. The three of us are on the same page of the winning you're in vernacular being not an accurate statement, but a more of a probability statement. And, as close as we can get to 16, or actually as close as we can get to 17 winners, I'm all about it.
Right on. Sherwin?
Yeah, I'm for that. I mean, I think we're probably looking at something like maybe 15 is probably our cap. But even still, that makes things interesting because that means there are a whole bunch of guys that man, if we run between 16th and 20th, we got a chance to have a couple good races and get into the top 16. Well, guess what? I don't think there's going to be more than 2 cars point their way into this thing.
Yeah.
The way things are going.
If we get to Daytona with 13, 14 different winners, that makes that 26th race all that more interesting. Plus, you throw in the fact that it's a plate race at Daytona, where we're literally talking somebody possibly getting knocked out on points at Daytona. I mean, that's what NASCAR wants, right? I mean, that's why they've mocked this up that way, and I get it, and it just gives us all that many more talking points.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Gentlemen, let's gas it up. There it is. Martinsville. First thing to say, there's a lot of hype around this. Modifieds returning to the track. Sherwin, how about that?
Modifieds are really neat. We got to see one of those races when we went to Martinsville, I believe. It's something, it's just something different. It gives those guys that, that series is very much a Northeastern series. And it gives them a chance to come down and run an Old South course that is perfectly suited for modifieds.
Mm-hmm.
And modifieds will turn that into a multi-groove track because they have so much grip with those 15-inch tires, and they have 1,000 horsepower to go with it. And they weigh 1,000 pounds less.
Yes.
You know what I love about Martinsville is, Sherwin, you said it in an old Southern track, but you remember when we went, who was next to us? These 2 fellows from Pennsylvania. And their folks. And we were like, whoa, Pennsylvania, how far did y'all travel? And they're like, I don't know, 6-7 hours. And I'm like, whoa, that's exactly how much, because you were living up in North Carolina at that time. And I was like, that's how much I just drove. That's interesting. So it's a very middling place if you're talking about, kind of northeast or eastern corridor for folks to meet up at the track. So it was cool to see that kind of different. Me and you have not been, Sherwin, up to the Northeast yet. We still want to go to Pocono. We were going to go this year and all the what have you. But New Hampshire and Watkins Glen and, all the rest of the places. So looking forward to all that, but still, interesting placement for Martinsville in that kind of mishmash of everybody going on there.
Yeah, well, I don't think you've probably had a chance to listen to the podcast from last week where I was a guest with Brandon, but he said he's committed to going to Pocono, so I am committed to going to Pocono.
Well,
and that is the, 25th through the 28th, something like that, Brandon?
Last weekend of June, I think.
June? Yeah, last weekend of June.
Yeah. Well, give me the dates. Well, you just gave me the dates, but let me go ahead and put in a little request over at the old work and see what I can do.
Yes.
See where we land on that. But that's so cool. That'll be fun. That might be the first one that I'm able to go to or whatever after all the deal is done. But yeah, so going to Martinsville, if you missed the fact that we're going to a short track, this week and really wanted to see that pavement stuff. Hey, we're going right back there, this week. It hadn't been on the radar just because of how much hype that Bristol has gotten with the dirt track. And I feel like, looking up, all right, what's our next race? Oh, Martinsville. Oh, sweet. Like it was an excitement. I really like how they put the schedule together, going from Bristol dirt straight to Martinsville.
Well, I think
Richmond.
Well, I think the really cool thing is, because everybody's going to get Easter weekend off this weekend, is that they made that the night race so that nobody's really going to have to miss any of the Masters. And I know despite what a lot of NASCAR fans think, there is a lot of golf NASCAR crossover, particularly with the Masters.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I, on the other hand, will be in New Orleans in the French Quarter, so I don't know what I'll get to watch. Thankfully, it'll all be on YouTube when I get home.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, it's next week, I guess. So
next race, not this weekend.
Yeah. So just to make sure I'm accurate on all this stuff. But yeah. Brandon, looking forward to it?
Oh man, I'm telling you, Martinsville is on the list for this year. The fall race, as is Bristol. I know you two have been there. I need to catch up with you guys on those two, and I am desperately going to try to make those two tracks work later this summer, early fall, as well as Pocono. I am pumped. I love Martinsville. Martinsville and Darlington might be my two favorite races to watch on TV. Just from a nostalgia perspective, I'm ready to go.
And just like every other really cool racetrack, the camera doesn't do it justice. I only live about an hour and a half from Greensboro, which is only about 65 miles from Martinsville. So look at plane flights to Greensboro.
There you go.
Well,
sir.
I will come pick you up.
Well,
we will bring my tent.
I think.
Or I will buy a tent. I'll steal Rusty's.
There you go.
I think we just solved a problem.
There it is. Problem solving on the PTM podcast.
It's very close to me. It's probably, if I drove it straight, would be maybe about 2.5 hours at the most.
All right.
Brandon, tell us about the I don't know what they call it, a bet or commitment or whatever from last week, and the pizza joint, and we're doing the donation and all that stuff. That was really cool.
Well, all right. So my thing was, guys, I'm fortunate, right? We all are. We get to do a hobby that we love and all that kind of stuff. And every once in a while, I just get the urge to try to give back and to rally that same thought process and momentum. And I'm like, man, how can we take advantage of a bunch of Cup guys running a truck race on dirt, something new at Bristol? How can there is a charity thing centered around this, and what is it? And I'm like, well, what if like a pledge donation, on the honor system, and just try to encourage people to make a pledge and to donate to whatever their favorite charity is. No need to single one out or anything like that. Just, hey, if X happens, I'll donate Y to whatever charity. And Freddie is a good friend of mine. He's got a great cause with his autism charity, building sensory rooms in Metro Detroit. He's got a partnership with Yunker Motorsports, who everybody knows. I'm good friends with Brad and all that. And so obviously that was my charity of choice, but just tried to encourage people to have some fun with the race and to donate to their favorite cause in the first official truck charity challenge. And I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if anybody was going to hop on board or what. And to get over $1,500 pledged through a amateur-based podcast with the help of people like you guys and all that, it was remarkable. I literally got goosebumps as tweets were coming in and all that. And Freddie texts me. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm trying to raise some money for you." And he was blown away. His golf outing in August draws about $30,000 to $40,000. So he basically got 2% of that. Over this past weekend. So just something that I was trying to have fun with, just something unique to try to raise some money for great causes. And I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. No, great call. And, we got to put a little bit of pride. You were like, all right, well, Lap Traffic will put something together. PTM will put something together. How about we get the president of NASCAR? And
right? That was awesome.
That was funny.
I love that.
And he volunteered. We didn't goad him into it. He's like, "Oh hell, I'm in. If y'all are in, I'm in."
Yeah.
No, that's so cool.
So, man, that's great. That's good to hear. Well, I'll give a quick recap. Last week, Sherwin, you picked Brad Keselowski, who finished 11th. I picked Kyle Larson, trying to make up some room on the fact that I've done horrifically on my picks this year, and he, of course, finished 29th. So I've got the curse going. And Brent Dewar picked Christopher Bell, who finished 34th. So if you thought there was some sort of fix going on with former presidents of NASCAR, that one did not happen. So Martinsville, in 2 weeks from now, we'll do some picks next week. But maybe Brandon, you want to give us a preview who you're looking at? You don't have to tell us who yet. We've still got a week, but
I'll tease it with the guy that won 4 stages on Monday.
Okay. We'll just take that at face value and everything.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh man.
That's where I'm looking.
Oh man. Well, it's been fun hanging out and everything. We're gonna start closing this thing down. Brandon, since you're on, we'll give you a little plug here. Why don't you tell the folks where they can find you, what's coming up?
Well, thanks for letting me crash the party. I appreciate it, guys. You can follow on Twitter at @LapTrafficPC. Tonight's show had Kevin, one of NASCAR's director of operations, on, who talked about the Advance My Track Challenge. Grant Enfinger was on and got the J-Ski bonus show coming up on Thursday with Dustin Albino.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, Sherwin, close us out. What's going on?
I got 2 things real quick before I start doing all the plugs. One of them is baseball starts on Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And I know Brandon's a huge baseball fan. Wearing my MV Free shirt. The other thing is Chase announced his Darlington throwback for May. It is a Hooters sponsored car that looks exactly like Alan Kulwicki's from his championship season in 1992.
That is awesome. Very neato.
So you can find us at PETM Podcast. I missed the music. Or I didn't. At PETM Podcast on both Twitter and Instagram. You can find me at Pregame Engineer, and you can find me at Andrew L. Sherwin on Instagram.
He said it. PETMPodcast.com, at PETM Podcast, and search PETM for all your favorite, or on all your favorite devices and whatnot, and your iPhone 12s, as it might turn out. So good to talk to y'all this week. Can't wait to talk to you next week. Thanks, Brandon, for hanging out for a little bit. We'll see you later.
Yeah.
There we go. That's a wrap.
All right.
Nice. Thanks for letting me crash the party.
It's good fun. Yeah. I was, I was very curious to hear your thoughts anyway. I knew you were going to, spill all the beans on Lap Traffic this week, but, it's good to hear it from a few different angles,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Are we sticking around for a minute for a little after dark?
I'll be here.
All right, I'm just going to grab some ice real quick.
All right.
Good idea.
I still got to hit the donation link.
Oh yeah, let me grab that for you.
I'm looking at my Twitter history.
I can
here.
probably find it before you get there.
I threw the link in the chat there.
Oh, cool.
I'm already there. I'll throw it back in.
Did you?
It doesn't link.
I was like, I don't see it in the chat.
That's because it doesn't hyperlink.
All
right, let me send it to you on email, Rusty.
10-4.
See if that works.
Whoa.
Shit, it doesn't hyperlink there either.
Just send the email. It'll auto hyperlink it once it's there.
Yeah, I sure did. No, it did. Oh, yep, there it did.
Yeah. Hit me up on that G chat.
Get that cheat chat, baby.
That's right.
We took a friend of ours, Brandon, so that joke is going to live forever. We took a friend of ours who wasn't really like all the way bought into NASCAR.
Okay.
But he was like, I want to hang out with you. Because back when we used to take 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people to the racetrack,
Sure.
At Atlanta, he was like, "Man, I'm in for this. This sounds like way too much fun not to give it a go once." He shows up with 7 cases of Budweiser, and he's every bit of 5'7". And I mean, he's got it all decked out. He's doing the thing: trucker hat, cut off shirt, cut off blue jeans, way too tight. Like, his stuff's probably about to come out. And I mean,
he Jeff Foxworthied it up.
And it was like the last year when everybody was still doing wild stuff, riding around, boobs for beers and beads and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he's hollering at girls and be like, "Let me get that G chat." Just some funny stuff that is stuck with us for it's been 12 years, 10, 11, 12 years. It's been a minute.
Are you guys going to try to hit the second race for Atlanta?
July. I ain't against it, but Rusty usually runs off on a vacation somewhere around in there.
What days is it again? I can't even remember.
I think it's the second weekend in July, but I'm not 100%. I got the NASCAR.
That might be when I'm out.
I'm telling you guys, I got my list. My list is...
Yeah, it's the second weekend, Rusty.
Okay. Yeah, I might
it's
be.
the 11th.
Might be out.
It might not be. That might be the weekend before. So I might be able to do it. I might not be able to take any days off because I've got the whole next week. But if we, chill out, we might be able to do something.
Yeah.
My list is Pocono, Michigan, obviously, Bristol, Martinsville, Nashville, and that would be a stretch if those are able to happen, but if something else is able to, because I can't make, Bristol work or Martinsville, something like I don't care if it's media. I don't care if it's as a fan. I don't care if it's crossover. I just need to get my ass to a racetrack a couple times this year.
I'm going to all but demand that Evan Roller and I go to Darlington. I hope he's in. He's got a really nice bumper pull, and he only lives about 20 miles away from me.
Quick note for you, Brandon. I have pressed all the buttons and linked up to all the accounts, and the satellites and everything are talking, but it's the donation's there.
Fantastic. I love it. Thank you so much for supporting that, guys.
Yes,
I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
When the hell is Nashville?
Oh, Nashville. Hold on.
Oh, there it is. June. It's the weekend before Pocono. Good luck getting that.
That's not happening then. Nashville will not happen. Nashville will not happen.
Yeah, I'm actually.
That was always my problem before with the Bristol night race, because that was always the weekend after MIS.
Yes.
So that was always an issue. So now that Bristol is in September, then that's more of a possibility.
Yeah, so, my issue is going to end up being, how many football games are we going to this year? I don't even know.
Oh, I need to call them back and buy games. I haven't even.
I'm still what?
I'm going to buy the tickets. If I make it to 3 games, I'll be happy camper.
Mm-hmm.
The Lions. I had prepaid for my Lions season tickets for last year.
I got to run to the boys' room. I'll be back.
February.
With a drink.
So I've got a full season sitting there prepaid, so I've got my tickets for 2021. I don't even know what they're going to allow, but they've had, $1,500 of my money for a year. So,
yeah, Rusty did. I normally would have done that, but I was unemployed during that period of time. And I was like, maybe not be responsible to spend $430 right now on something I don't know anything about.
Yep.
And of course, we weren't allowed to go to any of them, really.
Yeah.
And then I moved to North Carolina, and it was like, all right, well, that was obviously a good decision. But they gave you a continuation, said you don't have to buy tickets this year. We will not, because that's one of the big things with the college stuff is, and it probably is with pros too, is if you skip a year, then the points that you've accrued as being a continuous buyer, they take those away from you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's, the Lions, and I imagine this is with all the teams, you got to give your commitment with 25%, within a couple of weeks of the Super Bowl ending. And I'm like, it's only $1,500. I'm just going to pay it in full, because then that gets you into like, drawings and promotional shit, because of course they want as much money up front as possible to reinvest and earn interest on and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I just paid it in full before COVID, so now, that's just been sitting there. And I will give the Lions props, because I don't know if any of the other teams or whatever did this, but they actually gave you the option last year of, because they canceled it, they would have paid you your money back and you would not have lost any seniority. On the flip side, they also said, if you keep it with us and you let us keep your money and roll it over to next year, we'll give you 20% in, basically gift certificates that you can use on merchandise or concessions whenever we come back. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to earn 20% interest on that, no matter where.
It's $300 that you would probably spend anyway.
Right. So I'm like, well, yes, keep it, because that's $300. I mean, that's a couple nice hoodies. That's some beer. That's some Bloody Marys on a Sunday. Like, absolutely. So that's the option I chose there.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Brandon.
Yeah, you weren't going to get 20% anywhere.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, all right, the Lions will give me 20% if they keep it, so that's fine. You can keep it, and like I said, that's 20%, $300-400 towards merch and some cocktails whenever we do get to go back.
Brandon, did you catch the top of the show where we were talking about our new iPhones? Me and Sherwin are like iPhone brothers now.
So I did not catch the top of the show, but I did hear Sherwin's kerfunkel of dropping his new phone in the toilet already.
We both got the same exact phone, iPhone 12 mini, at the same time pretty much this weekend. So
that's hysterical. Why did you need one, Rusty?
Well, my regular phone was an iPhone 5S. So
that's old.
That's a little bit old.
Old.
And I was getting crap from two ends. I was talking about on the show from both my wife and my head of security at work, who doesn't want me on an old ass phone. I'm like, hey, it works. It's fine. It sends and receives text messages.
That's crazy.
That's kind of
how's yours working? All right.
What's that?
How's yours working? Okay.
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh, it's working great. You talking about the old phone or new phone?
Well, the new one. The new one.
New one? Oh, new one's fantastic. It unlocks before I can even freaking bring it up to my face.
Right.
It's like it's about 10 times the storage space too, which is kind of funny because I had a 16 gig and now it's 128 gigs.
Yeah. I got the new one. My very first iPhone ever was the 4S. Then I had an 8. Then I had a 10, and now I've got the 12. I normally go about every 3 to 4 years with it, just because mine just end up burning through, whether it's battery or whatever. It's like, not that I necessarily need or want. It's just, I just get frustrated with the lack of capacity of the phone, which is why I end up getting a new one.
Dude, I had the battery replaced about 2 years ago on the 5S, and they're like, the cost to replace it is about the same as just buying a new one. I'm like, just replace the stupid thing. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to have to go try to buy one and move all my stuff over, blah, blah, blah. Just do it. And they're like, all right, we'll do it. That's fine. We're here to make money. We're just, don't want to scam you or nothing. I'm like,
that's the biggest thing for me.
It's
like, I don't care how many backups I do to the Apple app on like my laptop, that then you're supposed to just be able to plug in your new phone and transfer over, or the iCloud. I have never had a phone be able to successfully back up and transfer to a new phone.
Really? Because this one was like magic. I didn't know they had this whole ordeal. And it was, they said, okay, you got a new phone. Congrats. hold your other phone up next to this one. And I'm holding a 5S, and I'm like, ain't no way this is going to work. And I hold it up to it, and it's like, oh, yep, we're syncing. And I'm telling you, 5 minutes later, it was like, all done. We got your carrier settings and everything. Everything's done. I had to, like, take a picture of it with the other phone or whatever with some space-age background thing going on so it, knows that it's mine or whatever. But everything worked perfectly. I didn't have to do anything on the computer, even though I backed it up beforehand. It just set the phones near each other, and they figure all the rest of their stuff out, and it's done. Like I pulled it up, and it has my normal background on it, and has all my apps and everything. I'm like, wow, I can't believe that.
That's
worked.
awesome. Yeah. That's how it's supposed to go. Sure, when I see that handle back there, brother, I see that fireball.
Yeah, I'm getting some more. A lot more. Why not?
Oh, I love it.
I'm going to just leave it out.
I love it.
Mine actually worked great. So, I was very skeptical because I let my 5C all the way pretty much die before I got the 6S. I had to start all over, everything. Contacts, everything. Start over. And this one, he's like, all right, here's what you do. You go home, and he's like, you got the cloud, right? And I go, yeah. And he goes, well, when the last time that it auto-synced? And we looked at it, and it was like 11:59 last night. And he goes, okay, go home, immediately sync it. And as soon as it says it's done, turn it off. Then turn your new one on. And it'll do it by itself. And damn, honestly, the only thing I had to do was change my Facebook password and the PETM podcast password. And it took me a couple days to figure out my work teams. And that's it. Everything's there. Every picture I've ever taken, it's hooked to the same cloud. Everything. It's all the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every app works exactly the same as before. It's like, it's
a little
nuts.
Scary, isn't it? Like, it's crazy how.
It's not so before I got this phone, this is just a couple weeks ago, I'm sitting in a meeting and I said something funny in a meeting, like that was not about work at all. It was just kind of joking. And I get back and sit down at my computer, not my phone, my computer. And I pull up Google, and the first ad is no shit the very last thing I said, and I go, what the fuck? Because I didn't do anything on the phone. It had to just hear me fire that information into Google, which is funny because it's an iPhone. And I'm like, all right, you're just hearing what I'm saying. I'm going to try not to tell you that I'm going to bomb something.
So I'll show you. They hit me at the right time, because here's the old phone and here's the new phone. Like they're exactly. I shouldn't say exactly. They're almost the same size. The new one's you can see it's a little bit bigger. Yeah. Poking out on the back, but like I can't imagine, because when they came out with the 10, I don't think they had a 10 mini, and yeah, there you go, Sherwin.
It's the same size.
Yeah, and so I lamented at that, and I didn't mention it on the show, but my wife got, through her work, she has two phones. One is a work phone, and the work phone, they gave her a new iPhone 12, the regular size. And I picked it up, and I went, oh, hell no. Like, I can't reach nothing on this. It's all over the place. I feel like some old man, I'm just like, no, this is stupid. Yep. So that really pushed me toward the mini.
It's like the size of Texas.
Now, I know Sherwin was a little pissed off that he didn't get his earbuds, and that there's no cord connection.
Oh, I raised hell. Yeah, that's me, though. That's just me. I was like, how in the fuck am I supposed to charge this thing?
Right.
He's like, well, you just set it over here on this little
solution for that, though.
He's like, you just set it over here on this little pad, and I'm like, that don't plug into my car.
Good point.
Because it's got that stupid ass fucking, that same thing that my work computer plugs in with. Where'd that thing go?
Oh, the USB-C, is it?
Yeah. Whatever the hell that is, this stupid thing right here.
Yeah. They totally got me. I bought one of the little pad deals because I thought it was cool.
I bought this.
Until you got to take it out of the case to get it to charge.
Oh no, dude! I go naked with all phones.
Oh, do you?
Oh, no! So your case is
new phone.
You free ball.
Oh
wow.
Yeah. Oh
right.
Yeah. Straight up naked.
This case right here charges right through it.
Oh, all right. Okay, so I'm a 17-year-old girl and have the popper. And
oh my goodness, that's because you got the too big a phone. That's the thing. People get too big a phone now. They got to add all this.
No. It's the 17-year-old popper. He's right. That's the reason.
It's the 17-year-old popper. That's the problem.
Well, that's what my parents and my in-laws have too. Like it spans generation on either side, and there's people like me in the middle going, "What the hell?"
Like, yeah.
Well, speaking of 17-year-old girl, Brendan, I tell you that I got the green phone with the glitter.
Oh, you're glittering.
Glitter case, green phone. Fuck it.
Oh,
wow. I don't care.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Good time.
Boys, Michigan is only up 1 point with 5 minutes to go.
In the first half.
I'm rooting for you. I'm all right with this. I'm going to shut down the stream here. It was great talking to everybody on the YouTube. Catch you later.